Today is September 20th, 2023. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, last week, 3 pro-lifers, actually I think all 3 of them were senior citizens in their 70s, but they were convicted of violating the FACE Act. The trial was held in Washington, D.C. These 3 people were part of a group of 10 pro-life protesters who entered a D.C. abortion clinic, and whether they blocked a door or sat down or something in that order of blocking an entrance, they were found guilty of the FACE Act. And they are now facing the possibility of 11 years in prison, which, if you're 75 years old, could very well be a life sentence for you. These 3 individuals who were convicted were part of this group of 10, but about 3 weeks ago, 5 other people from the same group were also found guilty and could face, an 11-year prison term. And what's interesting is that the Biden Justice Department has decided to do nothing when it comes to the hundreds of acts of vandalism or violence that was conducted against pro-life offices and clinics and pregnancy care centers and churches. Vandalism, they're doing absolutely nothing. No arrests, no trials, no convictions, not even acquittals, because there's no trial. There's no arrests. When I think of Lady Justice, the lady with the scales, and she's blindfolded because she's supposed to represent the fact that our laws are supposed to be impartial. Lady Justice is not looking favorably on the wealthy and the powerful and putting all the blame and all the guilt and punishment on the poor and the middle class. No, Lady Justice is supposed to be impartial. That's why she's blind. She's not supposed to pick favorites. Well, it's obvious that the Biden Justice Department has picked their favorites. And if you're a pro-life activist violating the FACE Act, you'll go to prison. But if you're a pro-choice activist and you throw a bomb or a can of spray of paint on a window or a door or do other things, nothing, absolutely nothing. And this all really has been accelerated since the Dobbs decision. And here again, I'm thinking too about the kinds of things that these pro-lifers are doing. Like I said, they're going in and they're laying down, they're blocking the door. Are these people throwing paint on doors at an abortion clinic? No. Are these people throwing Molotov cocktails in rooms or setting fires to burn down clinics? No. But those things are happening at churches and pregnancy care centers and pro-life offices where buildings are being burned, places are being vandalized, windows are being broken, and doors smashed and spray painted, and vulgar words like spray painted on walls. Those things are happening, but it's crickets when it comes to Joe Biden. Absolute silence. Okay, so we need a little bit of equal treatment, equal justice under the law. A little due process here, Joe. Okay. Last Sunday on Meet the Press, and I'm sure many of you have already heard about this, but last Sunday on Meet the Press, the new Kristen Welker, the new co-host, or host, I should say, interviewed Donald Trump. And, and she was roundly criticized just for that, because for liberals, just the name Trump is loathsome, and the very fact that Trump is breathing their air is enough to cause them to be sick. I mean, they're insane. But Trump did get himself in some hot water within pro-life circles, and it's regrettable because it was a self-inflicted wound. But he was asked about pro-life laws, post-Dobbs, and he said that the 6-week heartbeat bill in Florida was a terrible mistake. And he even really go on to say that what Ron DeSantis did, and he's the governor that signed the bill, the heartbeat bill, that what Ron DeSantis did was a terrible thing, and it was a terrible mistake to do this. And I talked last week about what should the pro-life response be, and some people are saying, well, we should have a national 15-week abortion ban. Well, considering the fact that 95% of all abortions are performed prior to the 15th week of pregnancy, a 15-week abortion ban is meaningless. It's absolutely a waste of time. It doesn't save hardly any babies from destruction. So the pro-life movement needs to really rethink that whole issue. But Trump seemed to indicate that if a 15-week national bill was on his desk, that he might consider signing it. And people like Lila Rose, strong pro-lifer, has come out and said that she does not support Trump getting the nomination because he's not pro-life enough for her. And after a 15-week abortion ban is not the solution anyway. And Governor Kim Reynolds, let me get the name right. Kim Reynolds, governor of Iowa, and Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, both of these governors last year signed heartbeat bills. And they have publicly come out and said that saving babies is not a terrible thing. And that's where I stand too. So I think Trump does not need to divide the pro-life voters. He does not. If he's going to get the nomination, he's going to need them come November of 2024. So I think it was a regrettable thing he said that has put barriers between pro-lifers on strategy, and he doesn't need to do that. Possibly today in the Michigan House up in Lansing, the House is going to vote on the Reproductive Health Act, which I've talked, I think, last week. It's a horrible bill. It's basically a series of 11 bills that would gut or repeal all of the pro-life laws in Michigan. Now, the only law that they're not touching, at least not yet, because I'm sure they're going to touch it later on, and that is parental consent. I think even they've realized that so many Michigan voters support parental consent that if it was included in this bill, it might be the one thing that would kill the bill with some moderate Democrats. So they've kept it out. But even with keeping parental consent out, this bill is horrible. It is extremely liberal and it's extreme. Maybe that's where I need to put the emphasis. This is extreme. And I'm only going to talk about 3 things here that really reveal its radical nature. First thing is that it would eliminate our 24-hour waiting period. Just giving women a chance to think it over for one day, just to think it over. How is that a criminal act? Or how is that unconstitutional to let women think? Number 2, it repeals informed consent. Informed, that right there is all you need to know, that if a woman is going to have a medical procedure, like an operation, she needs to be informed on what the doctor's going to do. And just tell her what the risks are. This is basic stuff. This is not a radical bill that we're imposing on women. This is a pro-woman bill, not the current one, but our informed consent bill, because it requires the doctors tell women what's going to happen, what they're going to do, and what the risks are. But see, the Democrats, the pro-abortion Democrats in Lansing and nationwide, they really do not want to have women be informed. You know, they make it sound like, well, of course, women already know what the abortion is, and this is just another effort to deceive, confuse women by making this option. And that is not true. Not every single person knows the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of an abortion. They don't. Informed consent is important. And the third one is that it would repeal our clinic safety standards and licensing. You know, if a woman has an abortion and there's a complication, they better make sure that the hallways are wide enough to get a gurney in, or some kind of a stretcher or something to help that woman out to an ambulance. You know, they need to have crash carts. They need to have things there available for women in case there is a complication. And then there's the issue of licensing. You know, don't you want your emergency care center to be inspected once or twice a year, or once every 2 years? Don't you want your abortion clinic to be inspected more often than once a decade or once every 15 years? But no, they don't want these clinics to be inspected. You know, they act like abortion is a right. The first thing they say that it's a medical procedure. It's just healthcare. But then when it comes to healthcare, they don't want to give healthcare. They don't want to give licensing requirements and safety standards and informed consent. They don't want to do it. That's a part of healthcare. Informed consent, restrictions. Okay. Last item on the program today, November 8th, Michigan's March for Life in Lansing. And I'm going to give out my email address. So if you are interested in attending this rally, this is an important rally. I've got to tell the governor that we have not gone away. We are still strong. We are still the pro-life movement in Michigan. And we're not going to just sit back and let the pro-abortion people in Lansing just run roughshod over us. It's important for you to be in Lansing, November 8th, between 11 and 1 p.m. We have buses. We've got 4 buses leaving from Kalamazoo. So my email address is rc, and then my last name. So it's rckarrer at sbcglobal.net. So it's rckarrer at sbcglobal.net. If you want to go, I'm not going to give out my phone number, but if you want to go to this rally, please send me an email and I will get in touch with you and we can set up the arrangements on how you want to pay for the bus, the charter bus, but we can make a place for you on these buses. There's plenty of room. So November 8th, mark your calendar, ask for the day off. If you want to come, you need to go and attend this rally to show the pro-life strength in the state of Michigan. With that, I'll let you go and I will see you next time.